Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Me, female 25, and my husband Leo, male 27, have been married for 2 years. He and his family always struggled financially. He lost his mom at a young age, is now in no contact with his father because of his stepmother's treatment. He didn't have much when I met him. He's a very emotional and prideful person. Sometimes tends to be irrational. He injured his leg 6 months ago in a truck accident. He's using crutches, unable to walk without them. Can't work. He doesn't have a degree but used to work in construction. Has an ongoing pain. And medication isn't helping out, and I'm worried about it. I have a job that's barely enough. My parents are supportive. They'd send groceries, blankets, came over and help out with some stuff. Leo's always shown them appreciation, and they consider him their son. A few days ago, he's been talking about whether my parents can help him pay for his surgery so he could walk again. I told him my parents don't have $17,000 to help with the surgery, and our talk ended. Yesterday we were visiting my parents. We were sitting, talking, when Leo started complaining about his leg and being unable to work and went on about the cost of surgery to my parents, and they nodded, feeling sorry for us. Leo asked them if they could help us by giving us $17,000 for the surgery. My dad politely told him they don't have that kind of money. Then Leo, out of nowhere, mentioned my sister's college fund and asked if they could use some of it to help out. I was shocked. My dad started berating him for bringing it up and told him that this is their daughter's future that they don't take lightly. Said he didn't appreciate Leo's inconsiderate behavior to be asking this, but Leo kept talking about paying them back. But how can he pay them back $17,000? He looked at me almost tearing up. Then my dad asked us to leave because he thought I agreed with Leo, but I was dumbfounded. I had no idea he'd do this. We got home. Leo was upset I let my parents berate him. Said he was stunned by my reaction and said that he's my husband and I'm the one who knows how much he's suffering and should understand his situation. We had an argument. I lashed out at him. I told him he had no right to even mention my sister's future and put me and my parents in this awful situation. I told him to stop it after he said he'd pay them back, but we both know he won't be able to. After arguing, I left the room to calm down. I was surprised to see him crying in the room. I felt terrible. Mostly helpless because I understand he's looking for help. But my parents are upset with me now, and I can't even call them. My sister is 16. His request was over the top, but I get the feeling he is desperate to be productive again and earn a living. Plus, it sounds like he is still in pain. Desperate and pain usually equals not great decision-making. OP's parents, of course, were shocked and turned him down. I think they should start looking for help. It is out there. Many hospitals have social workers to help patients that do not have the funds available for surgeries. The hospital will set up payment plans, reduce the cost, or in some cases, forgive the entire amount. Maybe try calling the doctor and his hospital to see what financial support is available. Call state and local social service departments. My daughter called me crying hysterically while she was at her dad's, ex-husband's, house, saying that his current wife was screaming at her for no reason, and she wanted me to pick her up. This isn't the first time she's asked me to pick her up while she was there, and I am aware that she and my daughter, 11 years old, don't get along well. I have made every attempt to encourage my daughter to try and get along with her stepmother. I even went as far as having regular mediations with her, where we focus on them having a better relationship. I don't want that for my daughter. I want her to be happy and healthy in both of her homes. There have been a multitude of issues with them since they've been together, but I'm always trying to get along with them, always the one to apologize, and constantly trying to build a better co-parenting relationship between all 4 parents, my fiancé and I, and he and his wife. However, in this instance, my child was incredibly upset, to the point where she could barely speak. She and her sister called me off the Alexa in her bedroom, and while still on the phone, I sent a message to the group chat to try and figure out what was going on and let them know our daughter had asked me to come pick her up. I hear his wife come down the stairs screaming at my daughter to open her door and then snatches the Alexa off the wall, disconnecting me from the call with my child. She then responds to the group chat, saying she took the Alexa out of my daughter's room because my daughter doesn't need to be tattling on her. And at this point, I'm pissed that she felt she could just take away my daughter's only form of communication with me when she was upset. I asked her multiple times to let me speak with my child, and when she refused to comply and let me talk to my daughter and make sure she was okay, I drove over there. All I wanted was to speak to my child and make sure she was okay, but his wife came to the door while I was talking to my daughter and had a whole attitude, and I was already extremely upset with her. I try to take everything my daughter tells me, that her stepmom is always yelling at her, that she gets mad at my daughter every time she asks her a question, etc., etc., with the mindset that she is a child, and children exaggerate, and I'm sure she does stuff that her stepmom doesn't like more than she likes to admit. But after hearing the way she was speaking to my daughter, and then seeing that she thought it was appropriate to cut off communication with my daughter to me while she was so upset, she also has children of her own, and I know that as a mother, she would also be upset under those circumstances. It really seems like after this whole catastrophe, any chance we had at having a peaceful co-parenting relationship is gone. My ex-husband was extremely mad at me, saying I had no right to show up at their house. But I really felt like his wife had no right to take the Alexa away from my daughter while she was talking to me. OP is not an idiot. I'm sorry. If some other woman cuts me off from speaking to my child, there would be no peace, and I'd give that woman some serious hell when I got to the door. As far as OP's daughter is concerned, if this is a constant situation, OP needs to stop trying to force peace and accept that this other woman doesn't like her daughter. OP also needs to stop pushing her daughter to be in these stressful situations with the stepmom. It sounds like OP needs to have a serious conversation with her ex about his current wife's treatment of their child. OP needs to get full custody because from this point forward, I can't imagine there being a peaceful relationship. I, 65 female, have twin sons, Mark and Mike, 35 male. Mike is married with 4 children. Mark is also married but does not want any children. It isn't much of a big issue for me because Mike and his wife Clara, 36 female, have them, and I don't treat my sons differently because of it. Mark's wife, Jenny, 30 female, loathes children. I found out about it when I asked her to hold one of my baby grandchildren years ago so I could pick up the phone. Later that night, Mark told me about it and what I had done was rude. I ended up apologizing and saying I hadn't realized it. Things seemed to be okay and there was never another event like that. Everyone comes to my house on Sundays for lunch. Mike and his wife always bring their children, 6 female, 4 male, 3 male, 1 female. And they are loud and rowdy, but they aren't horribly behaved, nor rude, and have proper table manners. Mark likes his nephews and nieces and does things with them. However, Jenny has attitudes that irritate me. She constantly talks about how much free time she has due to having no children, that she and Mark can travel a lot, and that she would feel like a slave if she had children. That isn't nothing compared to how she treats my grandchildren, however. She isn't rude nor aggressive to them, but she scoffs, rolls her eyes, grunts, and always steps away, often changing rooms whenever the children are nearby. She sometimes doesn't bother to greet them or acknowledge them. I put up with this silently and never said a word, since Mike and Clara never seem to have heard it. But yesterday was the last straw for me. I heard Jenny talking to one of her friends on the phone, making a comment that she couldn't wait to leave and be away from the walking parasites. I lost it with her and pointed out all the time she was rude and impolite to my grandchildren, that she is not forced to have children nor babysit them or be in charge of them, but the least she can do is have respect for them. She accused me of favoring Mike over Mark, bringing up that I stopped giving my sons $200 every month and instead started putting $100 on each child's savings account. This was agreed and accepted by both my boys, and I confirmed with Mark thrice. I truly lost it and told her that bragging about having a child-free lifestyle is ridiculous, that she makes it her entire personality, and that she should grow the hell up and stop being ridiculous about her immature hatred of children. Eventually, I broke down crying. I always cry when I shout. I don't do it as a manipulative thing, and both of my sons are aware of it. And Mike advised Mark to leave. Mike isn't a confrontational person, so after they left, he said I should have just ignored it. But Clara sided with me, and she called Jenny a B. Mark called me later that night, saying that was very rude of me to say, and that he won't be coming to visit anytime soon until I apologized to Jenny. I refused to do so, and he called me an a-hole and hung up the phone on me. Am I an a-hole for not ignoring it? OP is not an a-hole. Jenny has decided she doesn't want children, and that's fine. Constantly shoving down everyone's throats about how much better her life is, isn't. I'm sure there's some underlying thing behind it all. After all, those with the most to hide are often the loudest. OP doesn't need to apologize, as she said the truth. So, let me start off by saying that I already feel like an a-hole. When I was 19, I was diagnosed with cancer. Right before treatment, I froze some of my eggs on the advice of my oncologist. I eventually needed a full hysterectomy. I got better and returned to normal life in college. That's where I met my husband. We both knew we wanted children down the road. Years later, we started exploring both surrogacy and adoption. My sister-in-law Bethany, married to my husband's brother, learned that we were exploring both options and had all of a sudden volunteered to carry the baby for us. She has 3 kids of her own, and all of her pregnancies were smooth sailing. She went out of her way to convince my husband and I that she'd be the best choice. My in-laws were thrilled. Eventually, it seemed like I couldn't say no because everyone was so excited. I was taken aback by the generosity. While Bethany was preparing for the implantation and she was undergoing injections, which are typically well tolerated, Bethany was complaining of multiple symptoms and seemed to need a lot of rest. She wanted to persist, and the whole family stepped in to help her with her own kids, which included driving them to school and taking them in for sleepovers to help her rest. She became pregnant soon after. Bethany quickly started experiencing nausea and severe morning sickness. Every pregnancy is different, but it seemed odd. Again, the whole family rallied behind her and prepared meals for her, took care of my nieces and nephew, paid for a cleaning service, and went above and beyond to dote on her. As soon as the morning sickness had subsided by month 4, she started having severe back pain. Again, a new pregnancy symptom for her. She started doing things that made me feel uncomfortable. She did a maternity photo shoot and included the rest of our extended family in the pictures. She posted the photos on Facebook, as well as multiple updates on her pregnancy. She posted ultrasound pictures online for her little nugget. She posted a long Facebook post on Mother's Day detailing her pregnancy and how surrogate moms should be celebrated on Mother's Day. Now, she is insisting on having a joint baby shower. I explained that as the new mom, I felt that I, for once, should be the center of attention and celebrated as the mom. She already had her baby showers for her own kids. It doesn't feel like it is acknowledged that this is my child. I told my husband, and he thinks I am the a-hole, and that she's done this wonderful thing for us. It feels odd to me that now that she has this control over the family, and I am worried that she will continue to interject into my family well after the birth. I am already sensitive about not being able to carry my child, and watching her take this over the top has me hurt. Am I the a-hole for feeling hurt and wanting my own baby shower? Edit to add some of her other behaviors. I let her know that I wanted to have a gender reveal party with one of those cakes that are either blue or pink on the inside. She told my parents-in-law the gender before I could even start planning the party, and then she made it sound as if it's no big deal, because there were other people that don't know the gender yet. She blamed the whole thing on her pregnancy brain. She wants our mother-in-law to be in the room when the baby is born, and while I am grateful that she has allowed me to be in the delivery room as well, I feel that it is strange. I wanted to have some bonding time with the baby and with my extended family in the delivery room and in the waiting room. There's no way I am going to have that privacy for the first 2 days. The strange thing is that she did not allow anyone in the hospital for 24 hours after her own kids were born. She insisted on pumping exclusively for the baby. I told her that I would rather formula feed, and she said that she's going to pump anyway, in case I change my mind. She also asked if she could have skin-on-skin time with the baby to stimulate her milk production. She said she promises not to attempt to breastfeed our baby. I am going to formula feed, and I don't understand. Edit 2. On the pregnancy symptoms, I do agree that I was mostly the a-hole for doubting her pregnancy symptoms. Due to my cancer treatment and hysterectomy, I went into menopause while barely out of my teens. I had battled feeling less of a woman because of it. Despite that, I rejoiced with each of my sister-in-law's pregnancies and swallowed my own feelings about infertility and menopause, while also watching countless other friends and relatives give birth so effortlessly. When sister-in-law developed those strong pregnancy symptoms, I feel like it was a slap in the face. Not only was she pregnant with my child, she was really pregnant with my child. I realized that it was unfair to her, and I will seek counseling to deal with my feelings. I do believe we did our due diligence with the legal paperwork, and like I had mentioned, all parties have their own lawyers, and we have addressed multiple scenarios and finances. I will have to trust that she will hand over the baby as agreed. The arrangement that we have with the hospital is that we will have one joint room, but with a partition, and I will stay on the other side of the maternity suite with the baby until she is discharged. Moreover, our entire family will turn against sister-in-law if she decides to cause problems or keep the baby, and I don't think that will happen. My mother-in-law is very overbearing when it comes to grandkids, and it was one of the reasons why my sister-in-law had a rule in place for the births of her own kids. She did not have any visitors for the first 24 hours. I think she is enjoying being the sole giver of grandkids for my in-laws. For the baby shower, what sister-in-law had proposed is that we each open a gift and that both get to invite our own friends, family. Therefore, joint in every sense of the word. But she has no interest in keeping the gifts. She just wants to ooh and ah over the cute outfits, which I think is my job as a new mother. I like the suggestion to have a post-birth shower and make it even more so about the baby. Hindsight is 20/20, and had I known about the emotional roller coaster, I would have thought twice about the sister-in-law's offer. But I also don't regret any minute of it because of the love that I feel for my daughter. But it has been extremely isolating being on the outside watching in, and sister-in-law and her sainthood being beyond reproach because of the extremely selfless act. I have been kicking myself over the feelings, and I wish I had gotten help sooner. I don't think OP is an idiot. It sounds like she's become attached to OP's child emotionally, which, after having 2 kids, I can understand. But it's possible this is more serious. I would expect she'd be present at OP's baby shower and would be part of the festivities as the surrogate. However, it's not a joint shower. It's one shower to celebrate the baby. It's not like they both are having kids. She's carrying OP's child. So while I expect her to be there, I'd not expect her to be the center of attention. OP should think about talking to a family therapist, or maybe suggest a meeting for the 3 of them. As due date is close, there needs to be a frank discussion about the boundaries OP and her husband will be putting in place in relation to her role and reach into the baby's life with the family. It is possible that she will think because she carried the baby, she can be further involved.